Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda, and this is the Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast.
This podcast is all about taking action and creating that badass business abundance and life that you want.
Where we share stories, laughs, wins, and epic fails to show you the whole picture of the entrepreneurial journey.
It's not just unicorns and rainbows, people.
Jump on and follow us through this raw and witty roller coaster,
where we get down and dirty and go behind the scenes of life and entrepreneurship.
Get on it,
get over it,
and get after it.
Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to the Pursuit of Badasserie, the first episode of 2024.
Happy New Year.
Can you believe that? I mean, I feel like literally yesterday it was Halloween.
No, I cannot believe it. Like it's insane. It feels like yesterday was 2023. Like coming into 2023, it's just time is flying. Time is flying.
There's definitely a time warp that happens between November 1st and January 1st. I don't know what weird black hole energy suck happens in those 2 months, but time speeds up exponentially. And all of a sudden I look up and it's Q1. And you have this sense that everything's new and fresh and your whole life's going to change. And hopefully this year, that's the truth.
Well,
for all of you.
Most of the time it's not, because we hope or we have good intentions in the beginning. It's like that New Year's resolution shit. Like we're like, oh, it's a new year, so we can start something new. And then it just kind of fizzles out. And it's interesting because, we have this conversation a lot amongst just you and I and our team, but also with our clients, you have to be doing things in order to get different results. You have to change things up. You have to continue to move and push and add. And if you're in the same spot that you were a year ago, 6 months ago, that's on you. You did not implement the things that you needed to implement in order to be able to move, if you wanted to move, in order to be able to move further than where you're at now.
I'm going to challenge that statement, Lynn, because you just said, if you wanted to move. Who doesn't want to move ahead? I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are Elon Musk and you have millions of billions of dollars. There still needs to be growth every year. So there shouldn't ever be a year where you're like, I'm good. I don't need to grow as a person. I don't need to be better in any way. I'm perfect the way I am. My life is great. Even if you love your life and you think you are great and you are great, there still should be an internal drive to grow and be more than you are. So if you find that you are exactly where you were last year, unpopular opinion, your goals are too small, you didn't put enough work in, you didn't do enough action, and it's time to get your butt in gear, because 2024 is going to be 2025 in 3 blinks of an eye. So let's talk about making those goals actually happen this year, because so often February rolls around and every resolution that you had is down the toilet. How many of you actually flossed today when you said you were going to? I'm watching you. Unpopular opinions.
How many of you floss? Is that what you asked?
That's actually one of the most popular resolutions, is that they're going to take care of their health. They're going to improve their lives by flossing, because statistics show that people who floss, every time you floss, it adds a year onto your life. It's a ridiculous, or to an hour. Anyway, it does. Statistically, flossing leads to longer lifespan. And so people say, I'm going to be healthier. So they make a resolution to take care of their teeth and they're going to floss. And then come January 1, gums are bleeding everywhere. Just saying.
And you have stank breath. Hey, I want to go
goals today. We're talking about achieving.
Yes. However, I do want to go back to what you called me out on, is that there are people who, I don't think that they're really listening to our podcast.
I don't think they're listening.
Yeah. But there are people who are happy where they're at, or have such ego that they feel like, oh, everything's in place, I don't need to do anything different. Well, I guess those aren't our people anyway. So with that being said, what are some things, Amanda, that is going to get people different results that they can start implementing today? It's kind of like that. I think it's a Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best time is today, right? So the biggest, there's a couple of things that I'm thinking of that people could do in 2024. We won't talk about the things that you're slipping on. Maybe we will. let's start with the things that people can do to actually like slay 2024 and really feel ahead of the ball. Because how many of you, by raise of hands, I know we can't see you, but go ahead and raise your damn hand, feel like you're constantly behind the ball, like in one aspect of your business or the other? Amanda and I have this conversation all the time. Like, and we teach this, and we also implement a lot of shit.
So I think the number one thing people can do is stop thinking that you're doing enough, because you're not. So you need to do more. And I know I know there's this huge surge of like, do less, be calm, like get on the simple life, like the easy button. And I get that. I do. However, when you do a lot and you do a lot of action and you put in the work to get where you want to go, then once you've achieved that goal because you put in the work, then the easy button is on. It's not starting with the easy button and hoping things happen. The easy button doesn't just appear. You had to work and then the easy button appears. Like it doesn't work that way. So I think one of the most important thing people can do is stop thinking that you're doing enough. If it's not working, if you're not getting the results you want, you're not doing enough. You're not finding the right solution. Quit thinking that it's magically going to come because you thought it would. It's not. I say this with passion because I have done this. Oh, I put in a good amount of work and I did this and this. Like that wasn't enough, Amanda. It wasn't enough.
We just had this conversation with our team, with our online business manager, our right-hand woman, about Amanda's like, guys, our email list isn't growing enough. And I was like, okay, but what are we doing in order to be able to do that? Like, because I was slacking because my efforts were somewhere else. I do want to add one thing to what you said. Absolutely agree with you. However, it's the right work. A lot of times we do put more on our plate, and it makes us stagnant or it makes us sluggish because we're not putting the right things. We're not hyper-focusing in. And this is something Amanda and I have many conversations around all the time. She's like, what about this? And I'm like, no, we're hyper-focusing. What about this? No, we're hyper-focusing on this. We need to triple down, 10x down on X and make that shit amazing. And then we bring on something new. So it is putting more effort, the right effort into the right things in order to get you the results, the right results. So I do want to absolutely agree with Amanda. People aren't putting in the work, but they're also not putting in the right work. They're too spread thin or too distracted and not hyper-focusing enough on the result that they want to get. They think that they can do it all, or it's the whole anyone is my client kind of mentality. If I do all of these things, and I'm guilty of it too. Like I was just called out on it from a friend in India not too long ago. And he was like, Lynn, like, okay, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you on this nonprofit board? Like, what results is that giving you? What result? I was like, shut up.
Yeah. I think that's a point though, that a lot of times we're doing a lot of work, but not with the right effort in the right places because you've misplaced and you've misdiagnosed in your brain what benefit you're getting out of that. Because sometimes if you're not really analyzing and looking at your numbers and looking at where you're getting the most benefit from, you'll trick yourself into thinking that what you're doing is action that's moving you forward. And I see this a lot in some of my clients who are new to social media, and they think just by posting on social media that it's going to build their following and that people are going to they're going to go viral and it's going to bring in all this business. And I'm like, I'm not saying that social media is bad, because I absolutely believe that every business should have a social media presence, even if they don't want to be lip syncing on TikTok, that's fine. You don't have to. However, you do need some kind of presence, but they'll do all this time and all this energy into making useless, like unimportant, don't relate to anything reels and posts that make no sense to their brand and make no sense. And they're just posting to post. I've done it. I'm not pretending that I haven't done it, but they're doing that and expecting that to be this huge result. And they're like, well, I did it. I did 90 days straight of posting and I didn't see any results. I'm like, okay, well, but you slacked off in the part that actually brought your leads and actually brought you clients. So you know that an in-person networking event brought you 7 people last month, but you decided not to do that because you didn't have time because you were doing 90 reels that brought you 0 people and like 1 like. So it's knowing and analyzing where those leads are coming from and what actions you're doing that are actually moving the needle, not just putting in action because you need something to do.
Yeah.
Because somebody told you.
I agree. So 10x action. That is definitely our term that we stole from Grant Cardone, because we absolutely obsessed with his book. I think we've listened to it both twice already in like 3 months.
It's like the go-to thing I listen to in the background now.
Yeah, for real. Actually, I was just thinking about listening to it again. It's a great way to start the new year to like be hyped up on that. So 10x your efforts, make sure they're the right efforts, and analyze. Like, absolutely, you need to assess where you're at and make little micro and sometimes macro adjustments, but definitely a lot of times it's more micro adjustments. But definitely those 3 things are going to help you get better results, right? I am going to add, so with all of that being said, you also need to evaluate like your environment and the people around you. Like, is your environment, including the people, including the networks that you belong to, are they fulfilling the purpose in which you like? Do they help you or hinder you, or are they just taking up space to get you to the goals, to the end results that you want? And I know this is hard because those that are taking up space, sometimes it's easier to understand, okay, these are hurting me. I don't need it, or I'll put it away, or I'll kind of bench them for a little bit. Those that are helping, absolutely going to spend more time, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times people forget about that middle one, those that are just taking up space. Because really, those that just take up space, that just, and I know this is coming from someone who is more of a minimalist when it comes to things, like things in general, but also with people. Like if they're just taking up air, and I say this with a lot of love, they're still taking up energy of yours that is not helping you. So you have a conversation with them and say, hey, I need to, put you on the bench for a little bit, or I'm going to be, maybe not say it like that, but say, hey, like I'm hyper focusing on X, like I can't meet right now. I can't, I'm just like, I don't have the capacity, but next quarter, let's like whatever. And I know it's hard, but minimize the engagement interaction unless they're willing to move more to they're helping you get to that 10x space that you want to. But those people who take up space and take up air, they're taking up your energy regardless of how much engagement you have with them or not. And so you need to be analyzing your environment and the people around you, and make sure you're making the necessary adjustments to get from point A to point B. And sometimes these are people that are really close to you. Now, if they're your kids, screw off. Like, you had the kids, you got to keep them around. Like, you have a responsibility there, right? So, but can you change things to make it
the government knows that you have them, you got to keep it up on the up and up.
Can you make it? And I'll give you my personal example, like, and I'll turn over to you, Amanda. Like, even when I was married, there were a lot of times where I was a single mom because my ex-husband at that time either had a country that would have been nice, had jobs outside of the country, or like when we lived in Hawaii and he was learning how to fly helicopters, he spent a lot of time on the other side of the island. So I was raising them a lot. So I had to say, okay, let me look at my absolute responsibilities with them, and how can I get creative so that way I can still have that flow of creation for my business and my own personal self in order to hit the goals and the markers that I wanted to. And so I had to create some boundaries with my kids. I had to understand my own parenting techniques and really like lean into the part that is going to give them their best life as well. But also I had to get creative. When they were doing their homework, I was doing my work. When they went to bed, I was doing my work. When they were at school, I created things that gave me more flexibility, but I also had to make sure that they were learning independence, right? And so if they forgot something, cause and responsibility. Sometimes I brought it to them, sometimes I didn't, right? And so it's really like, obviously, if you have responsibilities, AKA kids, you do have to like, you can still reevaluate the way that that engagement is happening in order to make it best for all involved.
And it's funny that you're talking about reevaluating, because before we even started speaking, what I was going to say was you need to cut the dead weight. Cut the dead weight. And if you aren't sure that you can cut the dead weight, maybe it's time to reevaluate and switch your mindset as to what your true responsibility is. Correct. To that weight. So, for example, maybe it's a passion it needs to switch from being a profit-minded project to a passion project. You need to switch it in your head and be like, you know what? This isn't bringing me money, but it still brings me joy. So I'm going to switch it to a hobby business. It's not really a business anymore. I'm just going to switch it. It's going to be a mindset shift. I'm doing it more for my personal well-being than I am for the profit. And sometimes that shift can help you reprioritize and shift your focus onto something that is going to make you more money, that is going to fulfill another duty that you need to fulfill. So if you can't fully cut the dead weight, it might be time to shift your mindset and your approach to it so that it is seen in a more beneficial light, or it's falling within a boundary that you need to set for yourself and your business.
Absolutely love that. And we talk about this a lot. And I want to say we spoke about this on another podcast, but because I have like my buckets of time. So like I do an evaluation during my birthday, beginning of the year, and pretty much like every quarter-ish for one thing or another. But definitely at the beginning of the year, I'm looking at my networks and the networks I belong to, or the obligations, like being on a nonprofit board. Like, am I getting what I want out of it? What responsibilities do I have? Do I need to shift my mind? And I'll give you a great example. I belong to a women's network here in Thailand, and I love the people. However, because I have the BNI, such a strong BNI background, even though logically and subconsciously I knew like that's not the motto, that's not the format of this type of business, network. I still kind of leaned into it because I'm like hardcore. I'm like get shit done type of person. And so I had to reevaluate and say, you know what? Do I get some business? Yeah, light business out of it. Have I had a couple of clients? Yes. However, it is more, but I was getting resentment because it wasn't like passing referrals and like making business happen. Most people have hobby businesses, blah, 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 blah. So I had to reframe my mindset and then make a decision. Do I still want to continue to go to this particular network? Yes, but it is more to stay present. It's more to have a womanhood, a sisterhood to connect with. And when I get business out of it, great. It is beautiful. I love helping and empowering women. However, that's not the sole purpose of this particular network. So absolutely agree with you. Reevaluate and recalibrate your mindset and your agreement, even if it's your agreement internally with that particular person, network, task, whatnot.
Yeah, it makes a difference. And I know it seems very woo-woo, even for me to be like, oh, I'm going to just change my mindset on it. It's going to make a difference. It absolutely will. It absolutely will. So even just shifting in your mind, because that can take off some of the pressure and the guilt and the resentment that you have towards that activity. If you shift your mindset towards what it needs to be to move forward for whatever you need to move forward for your business, for your personal life, because that mindset shift, it will change everything and how important that item becomes. So rather than becoming an absolute obligation, like you must do this, this is an imperative, it will become more of, I do this for charity. I do this to feed this part of me, or to find connection with a group of women, or whatever you're trying to navigate. The point is that when you shift it in your mind, you will be able to prioritize your life better, and therefore be more efficient with your time, be more meaningful with your time, and really direct how you can move forward in your business and life.
Yes. And speaking of all of that, we recently, yesterday, I don't even know what day it was yesterday, we started our very first, so we took all of this because Amanda and I do all of this for ourselves, for our clients globally, for our team members, and our team members also, they've really started working with clients on this aspect as well. However, we said, you know what? We want to hit more masses. We want to make ourselves more available for those people. So we actually started our Badass Amplifier, which is all of these things and hold you accountable for it. So if you're listening to this on January 2nd, you want to learn more about Business Amplifier, we're still taking in people. So check it out. But Amanda, can you talk a little bit about, like, because these are all aspects, even if you're not taking the Business Amplifier, which why wouldn't you want to? But the 6-month accountability group coaching, kick your ass training program. What are some things that we're covering now in this that would help people, even if they're not in the Business Amplifier, besides the things that we just said?
Well, we're going over, I mean, 6 months of training with us. So we're going to throw everything we have at our group of people. We're actually really excited with the people who are working with us, but we're going to be covering things like the DISC evaluation. So this behavioral style and how you can use it to sell, how you can use it to relate to people and form deeper connections. And in your networking, we're talking about networking. We're talking about marketing. We're talking about branding, your core values as a company, how you can work more efficiently, all the things. I mean, we're working on social media pods to really help boost each other. There's so many things that we're doing. It's kind of intense when you write it all out and you think about it, but it's bite-sized, totally doable, and you have the accountability. So I'm really excited about this program. We've been, this is our first joint group coaching venture, and it is awesome.
It is. So if you're not a part of it, but you want to learn about it, you can definitely look at the link. However, if you're not wanting to join a group Badass Amplifier group program, I would say that's another aspect to help you crush 2024. Like, once you've done all of those other things and set goals that are yours, goals that are achievable, even like those big, hairy, audacious goals, as people say, or those badass goals, but besides that, find your people who are going to help push you forward, because it is really important for you to find your group who is really going to, and that could be a paid consultant, a paid coach, a paid mentor, a free mentor, an accountability buddy, whoever that is. But find your people, find your peeps who are going to not be your yes people, not be your complacency partners, but they are definitely the ones who are helping you move forward. Because I can tell you, and Amanda and I are a great example, when we started working together as business partners, even as like me being your coach and like all of that, like exponentially our businesses changed. We wouldn't have been able to write, I don't know how many books we have now in January. Like we've written 6 books between us in less than 2 years. And we have the Badasserie book, the 3rd book in Badasserie, is coming out like soon. We actually put a pause on it because we're hyper focusing and doubling down on some other stuff. But like literally, we could have written 5 books last year, but we chose not to. I mean, I guess we did collectively kind of between our personal books and stuff, but I mean like Badasserie books. And that's because we hold each other accountable. We like have our own patterns. We schedule things out. We have those check-in points, right? There's a structure to it, but also because we call each other out on our bullshit, right? And that's also what our group is about, and holding people accountable, making sure that things are getting done. However, if you're not a part of our Business Amplifier, find the group or the person that can absolutely be that person, and not your yes wing woman or wingman, but those that are going to call you out, push you, kick you with love. Not like physically kick you. I'm not for domestic abuse at all. Like, I want to make that very clear. And that's not a joke. And like, you want somebody who's going to like push you forward.
And if you haven't found that group yet, I'm going to recommend 3 books to you to read. One, of course, is The Pursuit of Badasserie, How to Create Badass Business Abundance, because it is amazing, obviously, not biased at all. 2 is, it's right there.
I just happen to have it because I'm giving it, I have to grab it over, which is Uber in the US, but grab here in Southeast Asia, to somebody that's visiting.
I gave mine out this morning. Okay. And I recommend getting Grant Cardone's 10X.
Absolutely.
Love that book. And I know we just talked about Steve Sims, but his book, Go for Stupid, The Art of Achieving Ridiculous Goals, is another great one to read. I just finished that one and highly recommend it if you're looking at your goals for this year. So if you haven't found your group yet, those are 3 books you can start diving into right now today. Go download them. They're all available on Amazon, and you can find them in all sorts of formats, from audio to ebook to a good old tangible, smells so good book.
I know you love a good book. Smells
Love books.
Do you have,
I don't know how
like a new car smell? I love a new car smell. I love the car smell. All right. So listen, it's your choice. If you want different, you have to make different. If you want change, then you have to change. If you want growth, then you have to grow. It all starts with you. So if you want to crush 2024, you need to start checking yourself and investing in yourself, which we didn't even go through. Like, I guess I'd be part of our Badass Amplifier, but invest in yourself to make that shit happen. Because yes, are you going to fall into things? Yes, you could. Are things going to come to you maybe because of some residual things that you had in the past? Absolutely. However, if you like to live in the driver's seat and be able to direct where you're going versus living in the passenger seat and just allow things to happen, then you need to actually take control of that damn wheel and make shit happen. That's on you, babe. That's on you.
That's on you, my friends. If this resonated with you, make sure you, I know I was just saying mic drop. What? No. If this resonated with you, or you feel like there's somebody else in your network who needs to hear this message and get a big old dose of reality, please share this podcast with them. Like, share all the things, subscribe to our podcast, and make sure you leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And if this really resonated with you and you're ready to like invest in yourself and work with badasses like Amanda and I, DM us, message us, email us. We have a website. We have our social medias. We are public figures. We have all kinds of accessibility. It's on you to take that step to make sure that you're making shit happen for you. Nobody's going to do it for you, boo. So I guess till next time.
Get after it.
All right, everyone. It's not enough to just listen.
Now you've got to put it into action.
We are so excited to see what you do next.
If you enjoyed our show, please leave us a review on iTunes.
And to find out more about what we're doing, visit us at thepursuitofbadasserie.com.